What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, and this is my review of the WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference that took place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Vegas, by the way, in a couple days, the home of the Super Bowl. Chiefs hosting the 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. That should be a good one. But anyway, back to the pro wrestling because that's what you guys are here for. This got chaotic, especially towards the end of this press conference with Cody Rhodes and The Rock, especially. Not so much Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who are in the mix too, but it really came down to The Rock and Cody Rhodes. We're going to break down all of it, start to finish. So earlier in the day, Thursday, The Rock was on the Pat McAfee show. He had a whole lot to say, especially about Cody Rhodes fans, namely the crybabies. It was actually pretty funny. It reminded me of The Rock from the Attitude Era. He really had this heel sense to him, and I get it. After all the backlash that he received, justified or not, the past week or so by showing up on SmackDown last Friday, nobody even knew that he was going to step in, seemingly in place of Cody Rhodes, to take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40. A lot of people very unhappy about it, voiced their opinions on all platforms of social media. We Want Cody was trending #1, I think, in the U.S. or maybe even throughout the country. Who knows? It was spreading like wildfire. So that was pretty amazing to see, like it or not. So one of the quotes I'll say that The Rock had to mention on the Pat McAfee show, he says, "At the end of the day, I know it, you know it, we know it. Roman knows it, Cody knows it, his fans know it, that at the end of the day, The Rock versus Roman Reigns is the capital T, capital H, capital E, biggest main event in the history of WrestleMania. The Rock and Roman Reigns, and I'll end it there. They all know it." So that's what The Rock had to say in regards to him and his cousin Roman Reigns being in the main event spot for WrestleMania, whether it's this year, next year, whatever. He was just saying that that is the main event and quite possibly the biggest. Look, I'm not going to argue that. On paper, it certainly sounds like it. Now, would the match live up to the hype? That's another discussion for another day. But I totally understand where he's coming from in that regard. Also, earlier in the day, Thursday afternoon, Cody Rhodes put on his, I believe it was on his Instagram story, "I've made my decision." So obviously, walking into this press conference Thursday night, he knew who he was going to challenge. Would it be the world heavyweight champion Seth Rollins, or would it be the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, who the majority, pretty much everybody that wants to see Cody Rhodes in this main event spot to finish his story, want to see him go up against the likes of Roman Reigns. I mean, so do I. Who doesn't, right? That's even with The Rock aside. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Why would he go up against Seth? The title he wants is the one that Roman has, and he wants to get that rematch from the loss he suffered at WrestleMania 39 last April. So let's get to this review. I'm going to speed through it as quickly as I can because I want to get to the juicy stuff at the end. You know who Cody picked to be his opponent at WrestleMania 40 and all the controversy that happened towards the end before it went off air on Peacock. I thought it was good, though. Overall, I did like this press conference. So again, this was at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So many combustible elements just from simply looking at the panel. The panel we had was very good. It was supposed to just be Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. They also threw in Big E and CM Punk. They told us about that Thursday afternoon that they added those two gentlemen as well. So, you know, whenever you see CM Punk around, he's an instigator. And look, a lot of the times he stands up for what's right. And so he's not going to let anybody bully him or allow anybody to, you know, bully those he loves, right? So he just calls it how it is. I got to respect that about CM Punk. So he was there. Again, we saw The Rock out there, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. Was hoping we saw Drew McIntyre. Was hoping to see a Drew McIntyre or a Bayley sighting, being that she won the Women's Rumble, even though she handled her business last Friday, challenging Io Sky. She was attacked by the Kabuki Warriors and Damage Control. So I get it. Bayley didn't need to be at this press conference because she handled her business as far as who she's going to challenge and the road she's on to WrestleMania. I get that. But it would have been nice to just see Bayley, being that, look, she won that Rumble last week, 2 weeks ago, and just to have that honor of walking across the stage, even if she didn't have to handle business, much like Rhea Ripley was, and I'll get to that with Becky Lynch. We even saw Bianca Belair as well. Again, so we saw Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Triple H, of course, and Jackie Redmond and Byron Saxton were working backstage doing interviews and such. They did a fantastic job as well. Now, before we got started here with the press conference, the guys on the panel, Michael Cole asked Pat McAfee, Big E, and CM Punk, who are your picks what duo would you like to see go at it for WrestleMania with this whole who is Roman going to face? Will it be The Rock? Will it be Cody Rhodes? So Pat McAfee sees it as Rock versus Roman. And look, I mean, The Rock was just on his show a couple of hours ago. How bad would it have looked if Pat McAfee were to be like, I think Cody Rhodes should get the nod. I'd rather see Roman Reigns go up against Cody Rhodes. So that was a no-brainer that Pat McAfee was going to go with The Rock there. Now, Big E also said that he probably sees The Rock versus Roman Reigns happening, although he did advocate for Cody Rhodes earlier on in the show, which I did think was great, talking about what a great human being Cody Rhodes is, how he was there alongside him, especially when John Huber, also known as Luke Harper, passed away a couple of years ago, being there for the widow, being there for his wife, Amanda, and their son, Brody Jr. And following that, the wife of Brody Lee, Amanda, went on to tweet a couple of nice things in regards to Cody Rhodes. She says, if you want to know the type of man Cody Rhodes and Big E are, they drove 5+ hours the day after Christmas to be in the room with me to tell Brody Jr. John was going to pass. He held him as he cried. Then he took him to the beach and flied kites. If he's not the type of human you want to root for, I don't know what to tell you. Hashtag we want Cody and Cody Rhodes. She also went on to put a couple of other tweets. In addition to that, she said, he's also been a staple in my boys' life. He's made sure they are loved and taken care of. He's made sure every birthday Brody has is special, including arranging Brody Day every year, complete with his wrestling friends and custom t-shirts. Lastly, she went on to say, he consistently goes out of his way to make everyone he meets feel special, seen, and heard. He's the type of person who loves this so much. I model so much of my career after the idea, what would Cody Rhodes do in the way I approach people, speak to them, and treat them? Now, if that's not a hell of a compliment, I don't know what is. So that's awesome that Amanda Huber, again, that was the wife of the late Brody Lee, went on to write these nice things in regards to Big E in the beginning, but more so about Cody Rhodes and the individual, the human being he is, and how much he cares for her and her son, Brody Jr. So that was really nice to see. So again, back to the picks, though. Pat McAfee and Big E saw Roman and Rock potentially, being the match to take place. That's who Roman's going to go for, wants The Rock, and vice versa. But of course, CM Punk had a different take, a different say in the matter, which I really enjoyed. Punk went on to say, I understand box office and that Roman likely wants The Rock, but The Rock didn't throw me out of the ring at the Royal Rumble. Very true. Very good statement there. Cody Rhodes did. I'm going with the guy Roman Reigns doesn't want, and that's Cody Rhodes. So that was CM Punk's take in the matter. He was going with Cody Rhodes, and rightfully so. They were the last two in the Royal Rumble match barely 2 weeks ago. Cody eliminated Punk. Of course, Cody goes on to potentially main event WrestleMania. And you better believe it, if CM Punk was in Cody's shoes, in Cody's boots, he wouldn't let that happen, especially if it were The Rock. The history that they have, quite a rocky relationship, pun intended, very much intended, from well over a decade ago. So, Punk was speaking on behalf of himself, but especially for Cody. Like, look, you were the better man that night. You beat me. Go out and get what's yours. At minimum, at least get the match. It's up to you to go win it, but at least give yourself a chance. So, I mean, WrestleMania 40 is where you got to do it, right? So we start off the press conference here. Triple H, the game, makes his way out. He says that it is a new time, a new era, and it is a whole new WWE. And I promise you this, you ain't seen nothing yet. So Las Vegas, are you ready? In his typical traditional Degeneration X, getting us all excited here. And he goes, right now we start the road to WrestleMania 40. Now, following this, we see the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. Going to get to her in a moment. But the introduction was great. Got the crowd ready. Triple H went on to say a laundry list of good things to get the crowd hyped, ready for WrestleMania, and so on. But that was the nucleus of what we needed to know going forward, not just for this event, but again, just the next 58 days or whatever's left until WrestleMania. And honestly, for the company, especially all the craziness the past couple of weeks, the past month, in regards to Vince McMahon and so on, and the past week of how crazy it was just by The Rock stepping in place of Cody, potentially going up against Roman. So WWE fans were very uncertain. They needed some kind of trust, something hopeful to cling on to. And I think Triple H provided just that. So that was good. So the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, made her way out. She talks about her career and how she three-peated at WrestleMania as champion, which is true. She beat Sasha Banks WrestleMania 37 for that SmackDown Women's Champion. WrestleMania 38, she went on to defeat Becky Lynch, gaining back that Raw Women's Championship that she was, obviously we were all not thrilled about what happened when Becky returned at SummerSlam 2021 and stole it from her with one-man handle slam. So she got her just due. And then, of course, she successfully retained WrestleMania 39 last year, that Raw Women's Championship against Asuka, only to lose it, what was it, a month or two later. But nonetheless, she's been great at WrestleMania, always walked in with gold in some sense of the word. Now, she also went on to say she's not walking into WrestleMania as a champion this year, so that's kind of weird for her, or maybe not even a championship match, it seems, not winning the Rumble and so on. She would have to go on and win the Elimination Chamber. She actually has a match, I believe, tonight on SmackDown to probably punch her ticket to Perth, Australia in just a week's time, a week or two, to go up against 5 other women, but she's got to go up against Mishin tonight on SmackDown, which I'm sure she'll win. Now, she wants to continue her undefeated streak, although she doesn't know how her road to Mania will fare this year. She says you cannot spell WrestleMania without EST. So next up here, we have the WWE Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley, making her way out. She says, Las Vegas, Mami's here. Huge Mami chant breaks out, rightfully so. Why not? It's the road to Mami Mania. Okay, they didn't say that, so I better trademark that. Start printing t-shirts right away. So anyway, she says Mami is walking in and out of Mania as the most dominant champion. Okay, she says I'll be ready for whoever wins that Elimination Chamber match in her home of Australia in just a couple weeks' time, because Mami's, and before she was about to finish her cliche catchphrase about because Mami's always on top, she's interrupted by the man. Becky Lynch's music hits. Becky Lynch says the man has come around to Las Vegas. You can't have a press conference without big time Bex. Look, I get it. It was good to see her. I mean, why wouldn't she travel with her husband, Seth Rollins? And again, I think when all is said and done, in a couple of weeks' time, she will win the Elimination Chamber match, and she will be the rightful #1 contender for Rhea Ripley's Women's World Championship. So why not? So she says she will win the Elimination Chamber for the first time ever in front of all of Rhea's friends and family in her country. She will then challenge her for a match at WrestleMania. Becky goes on to say it will be Mami versus the man for the first time. That's as long as you can make it past Nia Jax at Elimination Chamber. Then she goes on to say, which was a great closing segment by her, she says, Mami's going to learn to be a bottom, because that's what happens when the man comes around. Crowd absolutely lost it. I believe her music hit, and they got in one another's face. Raw general manager Adam Pearce had to break both these ladies apart, separate them, and this was good stuff. I really enjoyed this segment. Glad they gave the women some shine, rightfully so. And again, I would be shocked if anybody but Becky Lynch is the one to go up against Rhea Ripley. It just makes sense. They're both already members of Monday Night Raw. There will be a few ladies, I believe, from SmackDown, because Bianca has to go up against Mishin in a qualifier tonight on SmackDown. I'm not sure who else will get an opportunity from SmackDown. Maybe it's Selena or so on. So we'll see. But I think the winner will be certainly coming from the Monday Night Raw side of things. It only makes sense. So now, before I get to the men's title scene involving Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and such, I want to mention something that WWE tweeted out. I believe it was during this press conference. It's just announced on WWE's Twitter. WWE Speed is a new weekly video series showcasing up to 5-minute matches, which will be distributed exclusively on X. Of course, X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter because X just seems very strange to me. It's been a few months. I still never came around to it. I know I'm not the only one. It says beginning spring 2024, WWE and X, Twitter, will deliver the new format for high-paced timed matches showcasing your favorite WWE superstars. So look, this is an interesting concept. We'll see what happens. I don't know what to make of it, so I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to assume anything, and we'll see what happens in the springtime with this collaboration of sorts with WWE and Twitter for these 5-minute matches, and what superstars will be involved. Maybe it will be some people that you don't normally see, that usually work a WWE main event prior to episodes of Raw that you have to go on Peacock to see, or the WWE Network. And so giving them some shine, some opportunity. I don't know. I have, again, I don't know what to expect, so I'm going to leave it at that. Let's get back to this press conference where it gets really juicy, slowly but surely. So first we see World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, the workhorse champion, as Pat McAfee, I believe, referred to him as, make his way out. And Seth Rollins went on to say, WrestleMania 40, also in Roman numerals, it's XL, WrestleMania Extra Large, the biggest WrestleMania of all time, he goes on to say, taking place in Philadelphia. He says, what do you say we get to the chase and we get to the main event? He said, let's get the man who can make that decision out here. 2-time Royal Rumble winner, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And just when we thought we were going to get Cody Rhodes making his way out to Kingdom, we we're all going to do a loud whoa in unison, the fans in attendance. the millions watching at home on Peacock. And then suddenly Roman Reigns' entrance music hits. We're all kind of stunned. We're shocked. We didn't expect to see him just yet. Again, we thought Seth was introducing Cody Rhodes. However, that was not the case. Out comes the undisputed WWE Universal Champion of almost, 3.5 years now, Roman Reigns, making his way out alongside Paul Heyman. Roman gets on the mic. He says, Cody can't make a choice. This is a lesson. If you hesitate, your moment's going to move on. It's now your tribal chief's decision. Roman says, tonight I choose who will face me in the main event of WrestleMania. Everybody's like, all right, well, this is going to be interesting. Drum roll, please. Roman says to Seth, get this bum out of here already. Dismissing him in his nice, shiny green suit. I thought it was a little stylish. He's got some questionable outfits, I'll admit, but I did like what he had on at the press conference. Roman says, I choose ... The Rock. This was what we all presumed as dating back to a week ago as SmackDown ended. A lot of people were disgruntled, unhappy that it looked like it wasn't going to be Cody. Cody said he's going to finish the story some other time. And that's when The Rock's music hit. He stepped in. And again, for the past week, we thought it's going to be Rock Roman at WrestleMania. And so Roman chooses The Rock. But it really shouldn't be his decision. But again, that's where we're at this moment in the time. Suddenly, The Rock's music hits. The Rock appears. He's very uncertain of the reception that he was going to get. Rightfully so, especially the social media craze this past week. Honestly, it's probably not an exact percentage. But if I were to go out on a limb, I would say 75 to 80%. Maybe it's a little less. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll say 75 just to be safe. I'll say 3/4 of the feedback that I heard on the internet with the We Want Cody and such were in favor of Cody, whereas The Rock got the other quarter. He was more on the 25% side of things. It seemed like everybody was more so in favor of Cody, certainly the past week. So again, The Rock, little hesitant. He was finally met with some boos. There was definitely some tension on that stage, whether it was Rock and Roman and Seth Rollins, whether it's kayfabe or not, they did a hell of a job making everybody, making the fans and them, everybody just uncertain and not so sure what's going to happen next, treading lightly, everybody. So this was rare to see too, because every time we see The Rock, as it's been the last couple of times, typically, in arenas, big pop, it's all good things, it's all positive vibes. But now we're looking at him a little different because we all feel as if, well, not I want to speak for everybody, but the vast majority feels as if he's stepping on the toes of one Cody Rhodes. This isn't something he should be handling right now. Yes, a lot of us wanted to see Rock Roman, but why suddenly with less than 2 months build? It just seemed like the timing was off, where we were hoping to see this match at WrestleMania 37, 38, or 39. And here we're hoping Cody finishes the story. And here comes The Rock. So anyway, getting back to The Rock, he gets on the mic. He says, finally, The Rock has come back to Las Vegas. Let The Rock ask you a question. Do you think that Roman Reigns is going to beat The Rock at WrestleMania? Or do you think that The Rock is going to beat the tribal chief at WrestleMania? This is when business really picked up. We started hearing some "We Want Rocky" chants. Then Rocky sucks. Then "We Want Cody" chants were getting out of control. I would say before you knew it, it seemed like it was an overwhelming, loud chant of "We Want Cody" and Rocky sucks more so. But I will give the Rock fans credit there. I did hear some "We Want Rocky." I believe that's what I heard in the early goings. And so following that, do you think that The Rock and Roman Reigns will be the biggest main event in the history of WWE? That's what The Rock went on to say. That was also met with a lot of boos. I said, wow, this crowd is really being honest now. It's like, all right, good to see you, Rock. But now that you're getting very specific, let's get back to business here and who we want to see in the main event of WrestleMania against the head of the table, Roman Reigns. So again, met with a lot of boos. He says, all right, I love the passion. Says to the members of the press, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We want Cody. Loud chants. Some even said Cody sucks in return. Again, those Rock fans were, trying to do what they could at the T-Mobile Arena, but they were just being overwhelmed and outweighed by the "We Want Cody" chants. And so, just like The Rock was saying today on the Pat McAfee show, he brought it up yet again. The Cody Rhodes crybabies. And so it's very interesting. Call him a heel if you will. Call him, pessimistic or feeling kind of negative towards those that, wish bad upon him or just don't want to see him in that spot at WrestleMania. So that was just fun. I'm glad he acknowledged that, not just from the Pat McAfee show earlier in the day, but it transferred over to later in the night at the press conference, where I think that was the right thing to do. to show everybody that's how he truly feels, and it wasn't just how he felt in the moment, but while being interviewed by Pat. So shortly thereafter, The Rock pulled up a family tree of the bloodline on the screen there, which was actually really cool. I saw a few people posted on Twitter, namely Shomro Asaf, who's in attendance, posted it, a picture of the whole family tree, which is really cool. You go and zoom in on it, and it shows you the whole history dating back to their grandfathers and their cousins and so on, nephews, and just everybody that's in the family, and the vast majority, not all of them, but most of them are or were in the wrestling business. So that was really cool to see. So you see the family tree. The Rock says, when you look at this incredible family tree, I want you to take a look at the top of that tree. The Rock's grandfather and Roman's grandfather made an oath. There was only one dominant and powerful royal family in professional wrestling. Now, look, if that wasn't a jab at Cody Rhodes, I don't know what was. Of course, Cody Rhodes' theme song starts off with, there's more than one royal family. Of course, everybody talks about the Flairs and the Rhodes and just the bloodline as a whole and so many others. But I mean, this was an obvious jab. So I said, it's just a matter of time till we get Cody out here, talking about there's only one dominant, powerful royal family in pro wrestling. The Rock goes on to say, save your boos because it doesn't matter what you think. Classic. How many years has he been saying that? Since the late 90s. It doesn't matter what you think. So that was fun to see. Again, this heelish side, this heelish tendency of The Rock. And at this moment in time, he was aligned with Roman and the bloodline. There was no feud there or any tension with him and Roman at that for the time being. It was more so against Cody Rhodes, obviously, and Seth was just over there in the corner in what looked like it was a 2-against-1 handicap match type of deal. And he said, bound by blood, obviously alluding to the bloodline with The Rock and Roman Reigns. So it was at this moment in time, as I said, it was just a matter of time till we'd see Cody Rhodes. So Cody makes his way out. He says, hold on. This right here is bullshit. It is not Roman's distinction to determine the main event. I won the Royal Rumble, he says to The Rock. I have made my decision at WrestleMania 40 in the main event. I choose you, Roman Reigns. Fans were ecstatic, near and afar. I know I was. I was happy to see it because this is the right match to take place. Now, again, they could sweep the rug from beneath us. It's happened before. Again, we still have the better part of 2 months until WrestleMania. So until they ring the bell with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in Philly, vying for that championship, I can't be too certain of anything just yet. But it seems like we're back on track. So for the time being, at least. So he says, I choose you, Roman Reigns. Roman says, you must be stupid or something. This is a done deal. You're old news. The number 2 table will take you right now. Referring to Seth Rollins, who was over there with his WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He says, the losers bracket, the dummy in green. Nobody cares about your story. You're embarrassing your entire family now. You're irrelevant. You're just like your dad. I mean, he was talking greasy about Cody Rhodes and his family. I'm surprised Cody just didn't hop over. And, it still would have been a handicap match because Seth's not at full capacity. So it still would have been Roman and The Rock hitting on Cody. Wouldn't have had much help. But I don't know how he kept his composure. So shout out to Cody Rhodes for that. So again, he just kept bashing Cody and his family and his dad. And then he gets on the mic. Cody gets on the mic and he says, want to talk about family? All right. He says, how's Jey Uso doing? And what is this match all about right here between The Rock and yourself, Roman Reigns? Who sits at the head of the table? What does it matter when neither of you have been doing any of the cooking for 2 years? Big pop. Loud pop. And I'm just speaking on behalf of myself. I was on the couch. That was the only time during this press conference that I got up in any kind of a form of fashion saying, wow, that was good. That was good. Deservedly so. Kudos to Cody Rhodes for jabbing right back to him after all that mess that Roman was saying about himself and his family. I was ecstatic. I was hyped. The hype was surreal going into this whole press conference. And it was living up to its expectations. Yeah, it was a little messy and sloppy here and there, but that's what we like. That's what we like. So we don't like that cookie cutter stuff. That was good. Insert my Cody woe at this moment in time. I said, here we go. Something's about to go down at any given moment. He says, your father and grandfather would be ashamed of you, Cody says to Roman Reigns. Now, this is where business picked up because The Rock had heard enough at this point, even though Cody was directing this at Roman Reigns and his family. The Rock said, wait just a damn minute. I may not be on the same page with my cousin Roman Reigns right now, but we are family. So he says to Cody, let me make something perfectly clear to you. When you talk about his family, you're talking about my family. When you're talking about his ancestors, you're talking about my ancestors. And when you're talking about his blood, you're talking about my blood. And so now we have a problem. And I knew at this moment in time, I said, something is about to pop off. It's about to go down and it's going to get ugly. And that's exactly what happened. The Rock slapped Cody Rhodes in the face, on the left side of his face, pretty hard. It's good enough to get a reaction out of the whole crowd and everybody who was on the stage. Again, Triple H, Raw GM, Adam Pearce up there, SmackDown GM, Nick Aldis, all three of them trying to break these men up. Seth Rollins, he went right to the Rock, doing what he can with his hobble, was it left knee? Roman Reigns getting involved, pushing Seth back. Right after the Rock pushed Seth back. Cody Rhodes trying to get in the midst of it. So it got really interesting. And so that was pretty much that, you know. Seth was furious. He was jawing with both The Rock and Roman Reigns. Seth was about to go to bat for the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, which I love to see, even though he was hobbled up there. Seth even went to say to The Rock, I don't give a damn if you're on the board of TKO. I'm coming for you. I don't care what you are, who you are. You don't do that. And that was pretty much how their segment came to a close. Now, I got to say, even though Cody Rhodes called out Roman Reigns for the main event of WrestleMania for that undisputed WWE Universal Championship, I think it's fair to say that this press conference gave me less clarity on what's really happening overall. What's going to happen with The Rock? What is going to happen with Seth Rollins? Who will his opponent be now? Will Drew McIntyre be in the picture, or Sami Zayn back on Monday Night Raw? Will The Rock try to insert himself with Roman and Cody? Could he even do so? Will he be going up against Cody anytime in the near future on an episode of Raw or SmackDown? Now, I do know Cody Rhodes is scheduled for tonight's episode of SmackDown. I don't believe The Rock is. I mean, he could show up, much like last Friday. We didn't expect him to show up there, and he showed up in Birmingham, Alabama. So we'll see what happens there. Will we get a Rock Cody match sometime in the near future? If not on an episode of Raw or SmackDown, potentially at the Elimination Chamber. Could they fight one of the nights at Mania, where instead Cody Rhodes, instead of Roman Reigns, who we all thought, could Cody Rhodes have a back-to-back night one against The Rock, regardless where they're positioned, not necessarily even the main event, which it's hard to see The Rock not being the main event. But I'm just saying, regardless where that match is on the card, Rock and Cody night one, then Roman Cody night two. So that's potential happening too. You could also look at the simple fact that we may have a tag team match on our hands, folks. You know, Seth Rollins is out for quite a while, probably until at least WrestleMania. Now, if Seth could go tomorrow or even next week, I'd say maybe at Elimination Chamber, maybe we have a tag team matchup with Roman Reigns and The Rock going up against the likes of Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. But being that Seth is probably not going to be able to go until WrestleMania, what I could see happening if we don't get a Cody Rock match at WrestleMania night one, maybe we get that tag team match there. Maybe we get Roman and Rock versus Cody and Seth night one. You know, it's good for a lot of reasons. Seth still a little hobbled with this injury, isn't necessarily expected to do too much with that knee injury he's just returning from. So in a tag match, obviously it's a lot less that he'll have to do instead of a singles bout, right? Because Seth goes balls to the wall, 110% all the time, which I respect. You know, Seth is the workhorse, bottom line. That's the workhorse title, right? That WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So, and The Rock not competing in a match in what, the better part of 10 years, 11 years. Not saying he can't go either, but it will be a hell of a lot easier for The Rock to be lined up in a tag team match as well. So it would quite literally help both sides. Seth with Cody, Rock with Roman. And yes, they would both be pulling double duty. Roman and Cody would then have to fight the next night for the championship, but at least they could, you know, keep it minimal and tease a little bit of the feud. I'm not sure how the specifics would work out as far as who would win, who would take the pin, and so on. Maybe just have a disqualification. I don't know. But either or, just keep it light and then lead into that feud for the next night. Roman and Cody. I think that would be a lot of fun. And it's a potential matchup that we could see. So I definitely at some point see Cody and The Rock going one-on-one. Not sure when. And of course, I could see these four in a tag team match. Again, not quite sure when. We'll have to see what's going to happen and let it play out. The old wrestling catchphrase, let it play out. And so I think this is a classic case right here as to what we'll see. Now, when things were wrapped up here, well, two things before I pretty much wrap up. After that, they went back to the panel that we saw in the beginning with Pat McAfee, Big E, CM Punk, and of course, Michael Cole. Punk was not too thrilled about Cody Rhodes getting slapped like that. He said, I wouldn't take that. You know, he's too nice of a guy. That's been his Achilles heel. Arn Anderson said it back in AEW, and I'm sure many others have as well. And so following that whole scene up there, Punk says, who wants to see Cody punch Rock in the face? That's what I would have done, said CM Punk. Of course, he was mic'd up and he was, I'm pretty sure, heard throughout the arena. The Rock, you could see a silhouette of him on the stage as he was about to get off. I'm fairly certain The Rock heard what CM Punk had to say. Of course, those two, no love lost there from many years ago. And so I'm pretty sure The Rock heard him. It looked like he was even notioning to cut his mic. I'm not quite sure, but it looked like he was not too thrilled with what CM Punk had to say. Wouldn't be the first time CM Punk got himself in hot water, that's for sure. But that was funny to see. And also, I meant to mention at the start of the show, right before the press conference started, when they were at the panel, CM Punk hearing all the boos and just talking about the reception or lack thereof that The Rock got the past week. He says to the fans, "Where were all of you in 2013?" Which I thought was very funny as well. Talking about the fans booing him and heckling him and just being a pain in his side the past week. So now this is what I want to get to, the backstage part where Jackie Redmond was about to interview Triple H. And Triple H, again with Jackie, he goes and says, a lot of tensions and egos right now going on, and we're going to sort this out. And as that's being said, you see The Rock and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman making their way from the stage to the backstage area. The Rock walks by and tells Triple H a lot of bullshit is what it is, and he tells him to fix it. He says, have him talk shit about our family again, referring to Cody Rhodes. And he says, and that's what happens. Triple H tells The Rock, that's out of line, and you know it. The Rock says, it's not out of line. Have him talk shit about our family again. And if you don't fix it, then we will. And so that was pretty much that. He went on to say a couple other choice words to Triple H, which was either blurred out or it was the perfect timing for the audio to cut out. It wasn't anything nice. He didn't say, have a nice day, enjoy your stay in Las Vegas, or anything of the sort. So Triple H, gave him quite a stare down as The Rock left after saying those words to him. Roman Reigns also uttered a couple words under his breath to Triple H as well, probably something threatening, of course. So it's very interesting seeing The Rock as a heel, simply put. I'm not going to say it's a full-blown heel turn, but he's definitely on the heel side of things. And he pretty much had no choice, right, to lean into this. He didn't just lean into it. He went all the way for it. We thought what we heard and saw on Pat McAfee earlier today, which I suggest and encourage all of you to go back and check that interview out with Pat McAfee. Thought it was pretty good, especially leading into this press conference. All of it, goes together, obviously, the whole day itself. But that what was on Pat McAfee with The Rock earlier in the day was nothing compared to what we saw at this press conference. Slapping Cody Rhodes, saying what he has to say, going up to Triple H and telling him about himself and what he needs to do and what he needs to get done, especially, really showing his power, right? A member of the TKO board. It's funny, talking about the Young Bucks the last couple of weeks, coming back with these new gimmicks as heels, the EVPs really strutting their stuff there. And this is The Rock, going to really use his stroke and his power to let you know, hey, look, if you don't get it done, I'll get it done for you. And by the way, maybe it's going to cost you your job. So it's funny to see that kind of stuff bleed out onto TV, because sometimes it works, sometimes it's unnecessary, but this is one of them things where this is really going to be interesting. So that was pretty much that. That was it. It wrapped up. And before I get on out of here, it was made official. Triple H tweeted after he had that exchange with The Rock, he tweeted out, decision made. The American Nightmare Cody Rhodes gets the chance to finish his story when he challenges Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania 40. So again, seems to be signed, sealed, delivered. We are almost 2 months away, so anything can happen. Again, I don't trust this until we're in Philadelphia here. Both men are in the ring. They ring the bell and the title's on the line. And then I can say, all right, Cody is attempting to finish his story for the second consecutive year against the same man, the head of the table, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Can he get it done this time? And so until that happens, I don't care how many graphics are put out, what we see on social media, even sadly enough, even what we hear on Raw or SmackDown, I'm taking it with several grains of salt, because you just don't know. Again, they may sweep the rug from beneath us, as they've done many times before. Now, before I get out of here, I want to talk about a tweet I saw right before I hit the record button. And it's very interesting because over the weekend, when all this news came out that The Rock was potentially going up against Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 40, blah, 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 how, he used his power being on the TKO board. This has been planned since January 3rd, allegedly, that it's going to be Rock Roman, regardless who won the Rumble. And it was said that The Rock was even assembling his own creative team. If WWE or Triple H and company didn't have things in the right direction, according to him, that he was going to go his own way with things. And perhaps he still could. One of the main names, as far as a former WWE writer, I guess he's back on board, at least with The Rock and so on. I don't know him all that well. I'm not too familiar with him, but his name is Brian Gewirtz. I believe I'm saying it right. And he had tweeted out at 9:56 on Thursday night, now the fun starts, hashtag chapter one. So obviously he is in fact a big part of this whole storyline with potentially Roman Reigns and The Rock and the Bloodline. And we'll see how much Cody is factored into this whole situation, or if it's just for The Rock and Roman down the road. But all that being said, it seems there's some validity to Brian Gewirtz being the one who is in fact the lead guy or a big part of this storyline involving The Rock, namely. So now the fun starts again. Hashtag chapter one. So obviously, this is the beginning of something. I find it very hard to believe that Rock Roman take place anytime of the weekend of WrestleMania 40. Could it be later this year? Will it be WrestleMania 41? Who knows? I'm not going to sit here and venture to guess. I've exhausted myself for the past couple of years. Many of us have throughout WrestleMania, even 35, 36, then Roman being the tribal chief. Could it be 37? Could it be 38? Could it be 39? And The Rock never appeared. Now he appeared. A lot of us had an issue with it in one way or another because, not so much that we had an issue with The Rock himself, but, Cody was the guy who's been showing up, as Cody said, the last 2 years, barring his torn pectoral injury. He was out quite a few months. But outside of that, Cody's been the guy, much like Seth Rollins. They've been putting in the work. While The Rock's shooting movies, go do your thing. That's fine. But they're the ones year round that are in the ring, again, representing WWE. So I understood their frustrations in this whole situation, storyline, kayfabe or not. So again, this is going to be very interesting where they go with this. I'm just going to take it in stride. Again, I'm not jumping to any conclusions with Roman and The Rock. Done it long enough. And whatever happens, happens with them. So that was pretty much it. The WrestleMania 40 kickoff press conference. I thought it was good. It did its job. We got some clarity. Still enough confusion involved, but that's okay. We don't need all the answers right now. We do have some time. It makes you want to watch the shows. Go check out SmackDown. You want to check out Raw on Monday and see what's left to unfold. So we'll see what happens there. But I want to thank all of you for tuning in yet again to another episode of the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I am your host, Pat Deneen. I hope you're as excited as I am for this road to WrestleMania. It's officially kicked off since this press conference took place. And here we are. Like Triple H said, here we are. Just enjoy it, man. Enjoy the journey. Don't be so focused on the destination. Obviously, we will get there, but let it build. Let it just organically build. Have zero expectations. You can have your hopes and your dream matches and stuff. And hopefully some of them take place. Hopefully they really do. You got 2 nights of wrestling. I'm sure we'll get our fill. All right. So again, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.